So a couple weeks ago, I made a video against the $15 minimum wage. Of course, fast forward to the present, and it's experiencing a lot of opposition, not only from Republicans, but from many Democrats, including not only Joe Manchin, but also Kristen Sinema, who is the Democratic senator here in Arizona. But I made this video and I argued that a $15 federal minimum wage is not only bad economics, but it also harms the very people that this COVID relief bill is supposed to protect. Low-skilled workers, as well as small businesses who have been utterly decimated by these lockdowns. You could not think of a worse policy for small businesses than a $15 federal minimum wage. Well, just the other day, a congressman, Democrat congressman from California, an eminently thriving state in our union, Ro Khanna, makes this stunning admission on live television on CNN, and he's asked, hey, look, Amazon, they're fine. Amazon could soak up the higher labor costs, no problem. But these small businesses, they can't accept these higher labor costs. It's gonna bring them under. And he basically tells them, hey, go take a hike. Too bad. Deal with it. Truly stunning admission. Let's look at the clip.
Well, of course, large businesses like Amazon and McDonald's, for example, can and perhaps should pay more. But I'm wondering, what is your plan for smaller businesses? How does this, in your view, affect mom and pop businesses who are just struggling to keep their doors open, keep workers on the payroll right now?
Well, they shouldn't be doing it by paying people low wages. We don't want low-wage businesses. I think most successful small businesses can pay a fair wage. If you look at the minimum wage, it increased with worker productivity until 1968, and that relationship was severed. If workers were actually getting paid for the value they were creating, it would be up to $23. So I love
Hang on, I just got to pause it, because that is a ridiculous statement. Are you telling me that a dishwasher at a restaurant, and I'm not hating on dishwashers, you need dishwashers at restaurants. I was a dishwasher at a restaurant when I was in high school. A dishwasher at a restaurant, fair wage is $23 an hour. Let's continue.
Businesses, I'm all for it, but I don't want small businesses that are underpaying employees. It's fair for people to be making what they're producing, and I think $15 is very reasonable in this country.
You're also, of course, large businesses like Amazon.
Again, this is unbelievable, and there's just so much to say about it, but a couple things here. Okay. First of all, he's from California. The cost of living is way, way higher in California than most other places in the U.S. Okay. So he's in a different location. He's in it from a different state. He doesn't understand, apparently, that the cost of living throughout most of the U.S. is far lower. In fact, $15, it far exceeds a living wage in many places across the U.S. The cost of living, as it turns out, varies region by region. Also, the minimum wage workforce primarily consists of, and I covered this in the other video, if you look at the Bureau of Labor Statistics, okay, they conducted a study on who comprises a minimum wage workforce in 2019. Who are these people? They're young, they're younger. They are typically unmarried. They don't have families to support. And there are no racial disparities among this workforce. And as well, they overwhelmingly come out of the restaurant industry. And the restaurant industry, again, is the industry that has been hit the hardest by these COVID lockdowns. So you have a COVID relief bill that goes after, that adopts legislation that will utterly decimate many of these businesses. If the cost of labor goes up for these small businesses, especially restaurants, but other small businesses, but restaurants employ the most minimum wage workers, those restaurants will not survive. And this man is he's aloof, naive. I'm not sure what it is. I don't think he doesn't appear to me to have any malicious intent. He seems like a very sincere man. I don't doubt his sincerity, but he apparently just does not understand how small businesses work, and does not understand how the climate varies depending on the part of the country. And by the way, even in California, as I showed in my minimum wage video, even in California, the minimum wage hikes have been quite damaging for restaurants in the Bay Area, and that's been borne out in the stats. 60%. There was a survey back in December of small businesses. And 60% of those small businesses do not believe that their enterprise will survive through June 2021. Okay, 60% do not believe or fear that they will not survive through June of 2021, and then we're going to just nail them with this $15 federal minimum wage hike. I mean, it's crazy. Now the Republicans very craftily have countered with this is from Forbes. The Republican senators Tom Cotton and Mitt Romney have unveiled a $10 federal minimum wage to counter his proposal. Politically, okay, there's two perspectives here. Politically, it's a good move. Okay, it looks good politically. Economically, it's still a bad move, because if you look at these states here, these are the states where the state minimum wage is equal to the federal minimum wage. So in these states, minimum wage workers, which by the way comprise fewer than 2%, to be exact, 1.9%. 1.9% of the workforce in the United States makes minimum wage. Okay, it used to be a lot higher. It used to be like 15-20%. Now it's under 2%. So we're talking about a small sliver of the workforce. But in these states, a $10 minimum wage hike forced upon them by the federal government will be economically damaging. So that's still bad economics. Politically, it looks good, and it may serve the Republicans well. So you have those two angles. I won't say anything more about that. But I think the GOP has an opportunity here if they were smart. And unfortunately, the GOP isn't very smart, or at least the establishment leadership within the GOP. But the GOP has an opportunity here to really present themselves, and maybe that's what this political maneuver, the $10 minimum wage alternative counterproposal is about. But the GOP has a chance here to really position itself as the party of the little guy, the party of small business, the party of the working class. You'll note in this bill, besides raising the minimum wage to $10, the bill will also allow small businesses with fewer than 20 employees an extra 2 years to meet the minimum. So a little bit of leeway there for small businesses. That's a nice inclusion in that bill, and also would require that employers check the legal status of workers through E-Verify. So that the Republicans are positioning themselves here, because as it stands, this attitude that you see here from this Democrat congressman, again, I believe he's sincere. I don't believe he has malicious intent, but it's an attitude. This will benefit the big corporations, and that's what the Republicans need to do. The Republicans need to say, hey, look, the Democrats are the party of big corporate power, and elite power. And it's this paternalistic attitude that you see from many of these people, like this gentleman here. Okay, he means it. He's not a bad guy. It's this paternalistic attitude of that arrogantly presumes that their top-down, one-size-fits-all umbrella approach will save the little people, and it doesn't work out that way. It's naive. It backfires because it's bad economics. It sounds good. It pulls the emotional heartstrings, but when it gets down to it, it does far more harm than it does good. Anyway, that's all I have to say. I couldn't help. This clip is it's golden, because it really encapsulates the attitude that you see among many of these people. So I'm glad to see that this $15 minimum wage, it doesn't look like it will get through. Perhaps there will be some compromise, but we'll just have to see. Anyway, so long. Nice to check in, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye.